Hey everyone, Vincenzo Calla here, and welcome to episode 28 of Top 10. Today, I'm glad to be joined by the MP for Stormont, Dundas, South Glengarry, Eric Duncan. Thanks, Eric, for joining me.
Good to be with you.
Let's get right into these fun and simple questions. So first off, what's your favorite color?
Blue, no surprise.
Question two, what's your favorite book?
A book called Factfulness by the late Hans Rosling, a great book about how the amazing progress we've made as a human race over several decades and generations, yet we don't acknowledge it as much. So it's kind of a glass half full perspective of the world as a whole.
Question three is, what is your favorite movie?
Mrs. Doubtfire. I loved it as a kid. I fell in love with Robin Williams, and as a kid, it had a whole message and narrative that I just remember loving. And then watching it back as an adult about 20 years later, I chuckled because there's a lot of inside jokes I didn't get back then, but just showed how fantastic Robin Williams was and what an amazing man he was, an actor.
Question four is, what is your favorite TV show?
I binge watched Brooklyn Nine-Nine, tons of laughs, something that after a tough day and you wanted just to relax and watch, Brooklyn Nine-Nine was the place to go.
Question five, what is your favorite meal?
Canadian answer, poutine.
Good in. Question six, along with that, what's your favorite type of dessert?
I have a group of second mothers I have back in the riding, and everyone knows my favorite dessert would be caramel marshmallow squares.
Question seven is, what is your favorite hobby?
Volunteering. I take a lot on as extracurriculars. So whether it's co-chair my high school reunion next year, I work with local legions and volunteers to revitalize and modernize our local cenotaphs, newspaper digitization. I do a lot of volunteer work that I love doing in my spare time.
Yeah, I remember seeing that. I think we talked about this a long time ago, the newspaper digitalization. I saw it on the news one day and you were there. I think it was shortly before I met you. So
Yep.
it was a really interesting project and something really cool that is helpful to me now as a student in university, going and looking through old files and all that, especially a history student trying to look at primary sources. So very helpful when you see newspapers digitalized. It's lots of help to history students.
You bet.
Question eight, what's a vacation that you have always wanted to take?
I've done a lot of presidential libraries, so that's a bit of a nerdy thing. I've got four done, and I've got hopefully four or five more that I'm hoping to do in the next year or so as my time and crazy schedule permits. That, and I will say other vacations in general, is I love roller coasters and theme parks. So anytime, again, I can do a presidential library and a theme park, even better.
Question nine is, what's something that you have always wanted to do?
Uh, Skydiving. I keep kind of checking it out. I've done bungee jumping several times, but skydiving's on my list to do. My mother worries and my family doesn't want me to do it, and I got to make sure my insurance is up to date if I even get covered for it. But if you say skydiving, will be on the list someday.
Well, you know what, Eric? There's a lot of other MPs and colleagues that have told me on this show, colleagues of yours that have told me on the show that they've always wanted to try skydiving. So maybe a whole bunch of you can go together and jump out of a
A group
plane.
trip. There we go. Hey, we'll leave right from Parliament Hill and fly. Maybe we'll skydive right to the hill. Who knows?
Exactly. On Canada Day or something like that.
There we go. Right
Sounds great.
idea.
Question 10. What's a piece of life advice that you would always like to give?
One I like to give was one that I heard a long time ago and it stuck with me. Attitude's a small thing that makes a big difference. We mentioned, I say strength is important, character is important, but you can treat people with respect. You can be tough with them when you need to, but I just think the way that I deal with colleagues, even with, not just, in our party, but across the aisle, the way that I treat staff and colleagues that go along, that line has stuck with me. And something I've tried to live as a mantra myself and pass on to others. You can be effective, you can be a good leader, you can have your principles, you can have your backbone, and you can be a good, decent person while doing it.
So that is all for today. Thank you, Eric, so much for joining me.
Thanks for having me on the program.
Well, it was great having you. And if you liked watching today's interview, make sure to go check out my other interview with Eric on YouTube for Let's Discuss Politics. To stay updated, make sure to follow me on Twitter, Facebook, and TikTok, and here on Instagram at VC Productions 25. Check out my website, vincenzocalla.com. Make sure to like and share this video. Make sure to also subscribe to my YouTube channel and choose to get notifications there. The link is in my bio. Top 10 is a VCalla Production. So until the next video, I'm Vincenzo Calla, signing out.